Hello and welcome to this here video where I will be going over a lot of nonsense. Not nonsense. Nerd shit. Essentially, this is how ESPTs armor, in particular, plays. And of course, shout out to the whole Genesis thing. Scythe humbly and graciously accepting my offer for a little bit of help. You know, it's 2024. Holy fuck, it's 2025. Oh, jeez. Sorry, 2025. So, you know, always good to start off the new year right. But again, specifically, want this to act as like a guide for success. Because the best games of HLL are some of the best gaming moments you can have right now. So obviously, who the fuck am I? Great question. I have well over 100 comp games in the tank. At least 96 for ESPT. I've played all spots, and they're all seats. But mainly I'm a spotter. Terrible gunner, and I only drive when I TC, so that I could just, you know, drive the tank to wherever I want, exactly how I want it, without ever having to explain it. And also, if your driver isn't the TC, they can just do what they want, like cresting a hill on Kursk in a way that is just irresponsible. I am the co-architect of ESPT's current armor strategy / ethos. I joined ESPT when they were not a good team, very mid. And I've been with them all the way on their journey to the top. I don't really want this to be like a massive ego thing. I'm desperately trying to avoid that. Might be futile, but yeah, I do think it is important to at least establish some sort of credibility for this analysis. I imagine several people know me as the shit tier meme caster for the community games, like Thursday night fights, the meat grind, the Wednesday thing. There's a thing on Friday. There's just so many community events going on. It's actually insane. And at this point, I'm essentially retiring to boring content creator, where I make boring content. I don't know, that the video with the Battlefield 1942 music's pretty cool, but purely because of the music. The music's so good. Oh my god. Anyway. So, what the fuck is this? Again, great question. So many great questions from the audience today. The primary goal is to set up a framework of success that facilitates and expedites the decision-making process under the stress of the in-game environment. Now, if that's not the most corporate, ridiculed nonsense that I've ever written, well, then I don't know what is. Getting to the point, though, informed decision makers win games. And the team with more informed decision makers making informed decisions quicker is going to have a significant advantage. It also included this are at least one practical application of something I learned along the way. Certainly boring. This thing is like 26 pages of text and maps. But I added the minuet, and I don't know. Hopefully it's still informative. Now, I think this is just the main tenet of all comp HLL, and what makes it comp is you're playing to win. Which means that the smaller things like farming kills, destroying tanks, accumulating CE, these are all nice. In fact, there is no better dopamine hit than the sound of a tank pen and hearing Tiger destroyed or whatever destroyed. That's a dopamine hit that science could barely replicate. Nature stands no chance, let's be honest. But these are all means to an end, and that end has to be playing to win. And in fact, I'll go so as far as to say that HLL is not a PvP game because there is no win condition based purely on kills. HLL? A PvE nightmare? Find more tonight at 8. And the other thing that you have to battle is the lack of self-reflection. I was killing their tanks, so it's not our fault. It's not on our guys. It's not on us, guys. We did our job. This is like at least 75% copium. Because I've said it to myself many times. It's how I know it's copium. In fact, I know it's copium so much, it's probably close to like 90%. So, I think one of the overlooked things is having an actual strategy that isn't just play the game and see what happens. So that'll get you far. Will not get you to the top. And I think that this is something that needs to be able to be stated in 1 or 2 sentences. If you start getting past 1 or 2 sentences, you're getting away from the strategy and you're getting in the tactics. Right? You're getting too granular with it. And so, for our Kharkov match, HCA Final, which just happened, insane fucking game, our strategy was this. To win the game, we will stalemate the West with 1 anchored heavy, while developing gains in the East with 2 heavies. And it was, it's never stated like this beforehand. Generally, like 99% of the time. It can be, though. And I would urge every one of you to go back through games. Maybe you won it. Not quite sure why. Maybe you lost it. Not quite sure why. And try and find out if you can find a strategy that you can state in 1 or 2 sentences. Because it's very important. Alright. But how do we get there? How do we choose this? How do we not just reach into the void of meaningless existentialism into a soup of infinity and pull out something? Well, you gotta look back, find what worked, find what didn't. Most importantly, find out why. So, this is an important lesson that I've learned. My 44% win rate of SMDM. Not good. Sometimes the map's just not your map. It happens. I played HOTS. I had a 11% win rate on Hanamura. But that's a different age. Anyway. So, the lesson was, just because an area sucks to play in, because it's just a shitty spot, you almost always have to play that position just to make it not free. And you have to play that position correctly. So, SMDM, corner appears far, map edge. There's the gas can there. Everyone knows about this spot. This is like the most ubiquitous tank spot in the whole game. I, however, think this is a massive, unbelievable debate spot. Even though on paper it has everything you want. Right, it's controllable peaks. You can go directly into the fucking hard cap. You've got this very important sector around here, pizza slice, and like if you ever get down to this intersection, you are very likely to then capture the point. Unfortunately, the reality is the exact fucking opposite. You only have one spot to be, sort of practically speaking. Like, you know, there's a couple like micro spots you can be in, but essentially every single tiger is looking at the exact same spot, minus a few meters. You're within like a few degrees of their vision off. They, however, have a bunch of spots along this edge line and further back and from inside the point. It's just a position that looks good and isn't. And this is something I learned against WTH. So we essentially banned any heavies from going over there. Our strategy could be stated: we will not get trapped in the debate spot. Instead, we will focus our positioning entirely on the west side of the road. And it did not go well. Like half hour in, they just sent a PZ4 up there, and we completely lost that entire side of the map, the entire side of the road, for like 20 minutes minimum. I don't think we ever got it back. It was terrible. It didn't work. And in the process of making this, I realized we did the exact same fucking thing in our first finals. We did not ever recommit to holding that angle across the field, because infantry will never push across there. They'll never get back to the pizza slice. Like, that's a fucking pipe dream. The amount that we'd have to commit to making that happen, like, just go somewhere else. Which can be an extremely valuable decision. Not in this case. And shortly after this screenshot, we move up. We're pressuring this gardens. We are taking ground. Technically, this is an L-shaped attack. It's pretty scuffed, though. But we lose one of our heavies to a tiger up in the north, because we have absolutely zero control. We have handed them that position for free. And the result was a crushing loss. I think we got really fucking close, but not close enough. So this was essentially a fundamental flaw in our strategy, or at the very least, the execution of our strategy. No, the execution was fine. It's just a flaw in the strategy. It's fundamentally, there's a massive weakness with what we did, and they were able to exploit the weakness. Now, they don't always... The problem with these games is they don't always exploit that weakness. So, you know, being able to figure out why something worked or didn't work, they play a part in that. So, how do we apply what we have learned? Well, gotta put it in a game. You gotta see what happens. And so this was relatively recently a game against 116th on Utah Beach. Pretty sure this is 116th. Our stated strategy was we will have one tank at the front door, first heavy, to essentially not give it to them for free. It's an anchor position. We'll then commit 2 heavies to the north. Basically everything else to the north. To develop the north and to eventually crack the front line. That's exactly what fucking happens. And this was, you draw something out on paper, it never goes to plan. Well, this actually went to plan. So, how do we further apply this? Well, this was the strategy for the finals match. And the key element is realizing that the West is just a fucking quagmire. The 1/16th versus WTH on Kharkov, or WTH was the Allies. It was pretty clear from that match that the West was just a perpetual stall grind fuckfest. That is also like puts the whole position and control of the point in jeopardy for like the whole game. It's a precarious situation. And the reason why it's a quagmire is to actually say that you have control, you have to clear out every single backyard. And that's completely unfeasible. So, these observations and experiences from the past, lessons learned, inform the decision making. So, we make West a hold spot. Because pushing is an absolute fucking the worst thing you could possibly do. I mean, you're gonna get to like just past where that shield thing is. Satchel, rocketed, AT gun from C7, I guess C3, wherever their side of the map is. And then you get peeked from some fucking random tiger that just is able to round the corner because your fucking tank is on fire. So, can't go anywhere. Alright, and the real value that this tank needs to get is essentially just to survive and exist, to not let their tigers just drive up this road for free. Because if their tigers are able to get where that green gun symbol is, cooked. Alright, now we aren't fighting for St. Marie, now we're fighting for access to St. Marie, which is one more step removed from victory. Don't want that. This informs their decision making. Look how long they survive. This is like they were the second heavy, which means that they don't die until like after we've lost the point, which is perfect, absolutely fucking perfect. Forms the decision making. They're able to make the right decisions because of it. Because of that, they get the most amount of value that they can relative to everything else that's going on. And everything else that's going on is in the east. So, eventually, we get two Tiger IS-1s in the east and immediately start pushing. Try and take control of this compound in the east. On their half of the map. The first round, essentially, it's like a board wipe in chess, where like all of the tanks are fucking dead except for except for our hold tank, which isn't fucking going anywhere. And then they have a tank in the middle. So, gotta keep trying. Gotta kill more tanks. More action is required to get the gains we need to win the game. And eventually, success comes from the east, which is, I'm now realizing, fucking hilarious, because it was also the Chinese tank who was out there. So it really did come from the east. And they are able to get some sort of angle from the east. I mean, Mans was like all the way down here off of where the map is at one point. But he's able to get the final anchoring tank kill and the reinforcement IS that's like literally just has been driving up the whole time, just keeps driving. And incoms are like, this is it. Everybody but the whole tank, drive forward. We're securing the east. This is happening now. The point is ours. Again, the initial strategic decision to play east was fucking crucial. Now, there's one thing that was an outrageous piece of value that isn't necessarily in here. That is our own AT gun on our own C column side of the map. This AT gun was, he got like 25 plus pens throughout the game and had like 40 kills by himself. Also just parking a T-70 over there. Like, outrageous value. However, it is out of the scope of this analysis. I would lump that in as a tactical decision that plays into the overall strategy of hold the West. Don't take ground with an AT gun that's in the middle of fucking nowhere. You're providing no cap value. You are, however, providing ridiculous counter pressure value, and you are stopping one of the losing conditions of this strategy. But before we get that, just take an overall look at the advantages of these. Why did this work? And it goes to kind of our root, you know, one of the things that we lean heavily on for taking ground. And that is essentially destabilizing an area where the infantry are pushing, or at least grinding, and allowing them to actually take that ground. Tipping the scales, winning the fight in that area. I don't think that we would ever be able to do that from the west. I don't think that we can occupy these backyards. Certainly not in the same degree that they can with the Tigers. But I just don't think that this was an area where anything was ever going to happen. Not reliably. You can always get lucky. But the danger is, of course, we don't really have a good way of ever reinforcing the West hold for long enough to not have that be a massive fucking problem. And unluckily, informed decision making, they lived for the whole time that we needed up until the cap. So, cool beans. Alright. Got our strategy. Hey, look, we won. Nope. Now you actually have to play the fucking game. So, in the game, how do you create the winning condition? And this is something that is Armor's specialty, without a doubt. An uncontested specialty. And that is the action to win pipeline. This whole series of events, WTH does every single one of them in like a very teachable way. And I probably should have put that progression in this here PowerPoint. But I didn't. But I'll go over it. I made a video on it. Anyway. So, first step is action. this gives you the initiative. All right, with the initiative, you're then able to make gains, which is key. Because you cannot win if you don't make gains. So if you follow the logical chain, everything starts with action. Alright, so how do you get action? Sometimes you drive 2 tanks into the fucking enemy hard cap. Now, obviously, this proceeded with a tank kill. They still drove it. And this is the number 1 rule that Crowd and I built our entire foundation off of, is you cannot play scared. You will lose tanks. And in the process of losing those tanks, you will win games. And right here, we have a picture. Tank dying. And also us winning this game. I think this is our first championship win in the APL, 35v35, against the law firm. I think this is either the first or the second. Maybe the first. Anyway, tanks cannot play scared. We're playing scared in the east. Nothing fucking happens. And eventually, our hold no longer able to hold, because there's a time limit on every single tank, and that is ammo count. So, we have to take ground from them, and we have to take it. Obviously, this will cost us tanks. Driving into an enemy position to engage a tank, both tanks are probably going to die. But if the other infantry are then able to backfill from the position where you just rolled through and hold it, put down an OP, and then move on somewhere else, that's the value that you need to get. Alright, so do not be afraid. Claim your fucking glory. The other reason why cannot play scared comes down to this. Sometimes really is this fucking simple. This is the WTH versus 82nd AD game on Hamlet. On the left, we see the setup. 2 tanks on the east. 0 tanks on the west. Couple minutes later. Map shot. Side with tanks has progressed over 200 meters and are now capturing the point. The side that does not have tanks has gone diddly fucking squat nowhere. Absolutely fucking nowhere. And be like, oh, well, obviously the side with tanks also had more infantry. Wrong! Look at where the infantry are. Most of them are completely on the east are completely disconnected from their tanks. There's a massive fucking conglomerate right in the middle of the front door. So, combination of infantry plus the tanks created an unbelievably overwhelming situation that led directly to the capture of Hamlet. And what does the capture of Hamlet mean? It means 20 minutes left. The most likely outcome of this game will be a fight over Hamlet, which is a TKO situation, technical knockout, because it is not a fight over the win condition for 82nd AD, and most likely will never be till the clock runs out. Alright, so step 1, action. Their heavies were west on the hill, up and behind AA network. The action they took was a massive displacement all the way across the map over here to the front line. The initiative that they got from this action was they completely caught out both of the anchoring tigers. And they both die within like 20 seconds of each other. Fucking catastrophic. The gains were now they're driving across an entire open field for free. The infantry from H Squad walking across an entire open wheat field for free. Those gains led directly to the capture of Hamlet. The capture of Hamlet meant that there probably wasn't enough time for 82nd AD to capture that ground and then recapture the front door. And yes, WTH does lose Hamlet 4 seconds after they take it. And watch the video, the map is fucking hilarious. So, what the fuck does this mean for infantry? Okay, good question. So many good questions from the audience today. Really valuing the participation. So I have to imagine that the same logic applies. And that as a group of infantry, you must be always looking forward at taking the ground that you need to take. The other part of this, you have to be grinding the meat grind. Getting churned up, spawn, die, repeat. Long enough to have things develop elsewhere. Alright, and the goal is eventually, in most situations, to destabilize and overwhelm the front line. This is, at least ESPT's opinion, as far as I can tell, the best path to long-term success. Essentially map control. Play map control. All infantry are in the right parts of the map. Voila, a tank shows up, make something happen, break out, gaining ground. Now we're fighting over the next piece of territory. That's kind of our winning formula right now. Also, MGs are hilariously important for map control. Every single team needs MGs. Dedicated MGs. They aren't attached to, a specific group of infantry. They spawn where they need to. Wherever the fuck that is. Post up. Fuck shit up. Which is, again, a lesson we learned very exclusively, deliberately, somethingly from Syndicate. We played them Allies Chapel, Utah Beach. And obviously we capped. And then we lost the game with like 20 minutes left, and it was terrible. However, that loss probably taught me more about how to play the game in like very specific situations. Probably I learned the most about that most recently than anything else. But those are more tactical things. Less strategic. So right now, we have kind of the perfect level of synergy. We are a fully integrated team. The other thing I like to say. Where we operate in support of each other's goals. Alright, we're able to sit there, arm infantry, arm tanks, do whatever the fuck we need to do. We can sit there for long enough to do it, because our infantry control that area. Fucking tremendous. This is what, essentially, all teams need to aspire to. So, in conclusion, always play to win. And if you can learn how to take a point from anybody with a repeatable, reliable process, you will achieve an invincible mental status as a game. Which is something that our infantry and armor, the whole fucking team, achieved when we first beat WTH on SMDM. Holy fuck, dude. That was this team going Super Saiyan. It was incredible. So, this SMDM game Essentially, holy fuck. Alright, good. So essentially, this is the game where we went Super Saiyan. In the middle of the game, we recognized we had to be doing something different. What we're trying is not working. And essentially, middle of the game, our strategy shifts from, well, we're just going to play the game and see what happens, to, we're going to anchor the front door, we're going to farm infantry. Because their tanks were in a position to not easily contest that. We were going to force them to reposition, and that will, at the very least, change the foundation of the game. Which we had to do. Because right now, the foundation, the trajectory of the game, were going to be another crushing, heart-breaking, grinding loss to WTH. With only momentary glimpses of hope. I don't guess I can't really speak for anybody else, but I certainly had that thought. I wasn't even playing. And I feel like I felt the collective sigh. However, that thought was immediately countered with, we've taken points from every single team up until now. We've been here before, and we've still won. In fact, that seasonal we captured like 1, maybe 2 mid-points off the rip. Every other game, including the final, we had to take it from them. Alright, and so even if it's the middle of a game, you could still sometimes absolutely have to develop a strategy in situ. And then from there, this will help inform the decision making therein, which is the most important part. Armor has the ability, one tank can determine the outcome of a match. Generally it's 2, almost certainly it's all 3. But this is the power that armor has. Most teams do not utilize this. Most teams' win conditions are cap the mid, pray, play some hopium HLL, and maybe get the W because most other teams also can't capture a point. Only way to achieve this is to play forward and aggressive. Just because you can shell the exact same spot as you can from 100 meters as you can from 500 doesn't mean you're getting the same effect at the 500 meter than you are at 100 meters. You will almost always get more value if you are up close. For a host of reasons. Some of them, you're simply 3 more unarguable cap weight. That's value. That's insane value. The other value is your ability to destroy spawns. Again, HLL is a PvE game. It is a PvE game through spawning. Destroying the spawns is the single most valuable thing you could do in HLL. To the point where we have a guy, all he does is drive around in an RV by himself looking to kill spawns. And infantry. But spawns is the most important part. So But again, that's more of a tactical decision. And HE shells obviously are the best way to kill spawns. Grenades can't kill garrisons. Artillery can't kill any spawn, actually. Bombing runs don't kill outposts. Rockets kill everything, but you get 2 of them. And they have a certain range, and they aren't point and click. Gotta fucking lob those bitches, which has its own advantages, but still, fundamentally, vastly inferior to HE shells from a tank. Which means, by the way, now that I think about it, the most important thing that you could possibly be doing is spamming HE. Now, I think that's 100% true. One of the things I've been saying for a very long time is you only have AP shells, so you can shoot more HE shells. What I mean by that is you don't care about killing tanks in so much as you want to remove obstacles to killing more infantry. There's a tank there not letting you farm, that tank needs to die. There's a tank there and they are letting you farm, who gives a fuck? And that was the fundamental nugget of truth that won us our first game against WTH on SMDM, and that was the moment that we went fucking Super Saiyan. Still, in conclusion, obviously this is not an exhaustive list of the ways to win HLL. The game's too complex to really just say this is the only way to play, because it certainly isn't. Case in point, in both of the final matches, seasonal and HCA against WTH, the complete destabilization of their position, or our position, had absolutely nothing to do with kills. It had to do with spawning and pressuring, just from spawns. It was a PvE win. I mean, we captured Trade Station. If you look at the post-cap screenshot, they have a fucking, like, 2 tanks in the, like, right behind the hard cap in the compound. And infantry controlling the entirety of the compound. Like, that's step 1 to capping a point. And the only way that we make all of those infantry disappear is a forced redeployment back to rail crossing, which leaves their Tigers just completely surrounded by enemy infantry. No friendlies. Abandoned. But they had to. It was kind of the checkmate situation. However, and the same thing happened against us. They fucking spawned behind us, took the point. Completely destabilized our entire position. Tanks having to turn around, and just get shot and rocketed, and fucking brutal. But held on. Knew what we had to do to win. Boy, howdy did we do it. I also tried to make a distinction between strategy and tactics. You know, like when it comes to a strategy, we're gonna have 2 heavies in the east, right? Like, that doesn't talk about, you know, like, we're gonna try and double peek, right? We're gonna try and, you know, leapfrog from house to house, shift HE, get some kills, make some attention, maybe look for an AP pen as they're maneuvering or something. You know, that's the next level of granularity out of the scope of this. And also this analysis. Don't listen to what I said about infantry. I don't fucking know. I have no fucking clue. I don't play infantry. But it's still in there. Maybe it helps. I don't fucking know. And then I guess to get a little bit sentimental, because I have wasted a tremendous amount of time on this game, and it has been very enjoyable waste of time. I mean, this game has it all, dude. Like, this game's fucking sick. Like, even just watching like a random guy be like, "Hey, here's observations of the new player experience," or he's just out there like RPing, and it's just the game's fucking cool, man. Like, it just hits different, as the youth say. And the higher the quality, the different it hits, and I can make people play better and have higher quality of games, then it's gonna hit even different, because it do. So, comp HL, it's just the way to play the game. Like, the game is made for it. They put in all these moving parts. They have their own flavor and role to play in the overall success of the game. That like it's the only way to play the game. And of course, a little bit of validation from the legend himself. You either love him or you hate him, and you gotta choose. You don't get to be neutral on this. No neutrals allowed. But functionally, what he's saying is we're playing good HLL. And if that's not, something that'll break through the layer of copium and ego that exists in this game, then nothing will. However, there are a lot of people out there without the baggage. And hell, if one of them listens to me, he's just like, oh, cool. And they're able to become more successful in the game, fuck yeah. So, I wasn't sure if I was even going to make a video on this. It's a 26-page PowerPoint presentation, which exists out there. I have a welfare Discord, so I can't DM it to people. It's too large. I've exceeded the 10 megabyte allotment with text and pictures. But hey, what else are you gonna do on a fucking day off because of the snow? So that's it for me. I don't really know how to disseminate this. Someone's got it out there. If you DM me, I'll post it in a Discord that you're in, and you can download it from there. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.